Welcome back. WeArEuS, and this is us getting much closer to the end of Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous. Now, as you can see, I've already spent the mythic points and done some extra casting on the side because why the frick not? I also changed around some of Morrow's spells because a lot of the ones he wasn't even using because they're just inconvenient or way too dangerous, such as Morocco. I only took one of the Morocco slots, so we still have 3 uses of it, but I think that's it for the update. So now it's just a matter of, I guess we go this way. Dang it. I was just of a mind.
Who is this crawling insect that repeatedly interferes with my plans? A weapon of the imposter goddess? My servant's plaything? A slave of some other abyssal overlord? I do not understand why this mortal still lives, or whom he serves. The great Discari dislikes incomprehensible things and unfinished business. The pesky gnat eluded my sight and it won't escape this time.
You know, I would have just killed you in what is apparently pronounced is if you hadn't fled.
Would have, if you hadn't. Oh, the prideful fantasies of mortals. Dreams of what could have been if the world were different. Dreams that will shatter when confronted with this unflinching reality. The mortal has no chance against the great Discari.
This man is living in a fantasy land. You know how powerful I am. Aren't you taking a risk by facing me in battle? What if I kill you? Which is going to happen because he's in my way.
Discari fears nothing. This foolish mortal does not know what he is saying. Even if by some miracle he prevails in this battle, the immortal deity will simply return to his realm. For the mortal gnat, the price of defeat is his life. For Discari, it is merely a minor inconvenience.
Yeah, why not, since it's voiced anyway. You want to know whom I serve? You mean you haven't figured it out yet?
Whom then? This no longer matters, since the mortal gnat has only moments left to live. But let him speak. Discari is listening.
I serve no one. Interestingly enough, am my own master.
If the mortal believes he is free, then it is because he himself does not know whom he serves.
Oh, poor baby thinks he knows anything. It's cute, really. I took everything you once had on Galarian. Cities, armies, minions. Now, I take your life.
Everything Discari takes is his for eternity. Galarian is mine. The mortals of Galarian are mine. This tiny mortal insect dares to stand against me, so I will feast on his flesh.
Have fun trying. and he just rushes us. That's the same opener he used last time. Fascinating. We'll put her here. She now has, as a result of Morrow's final mythic level, she now has the ability to dispel. But rather than have her do that, I'm going to summon Lunch for Descari. Since Land's not going to be particularly useful in this fight, he's also going to summon Lunch for Descari. Now, this guy has... I don't know if he'll be able to hit Descari. His armor class isn't terribly high, but he's also got some other spells on him that I do want to get rid of. Instead of attacking one single time, I think I might have him summon Lunch for Descari. We've got 3 big dispels coming. What do I want Seela to do? Actually, I want her to do some more moving, just to be safe. Move here. Mr. Ed should still be able to, he doesn't have any goddamn summons for some reason. That's nice. Okay, we'll start Seela off with this. And just in case he wants to play some fear games, we'll cast Aura of Greater Courage. I want to spread them out as best I can. I want her to cast Dispel. Especially since she gets 2 shots at it. Oh. We took most of what he had. Yeah, the rest we can't remove. Seems fair. Not everyone is as healthy as they should be, so extra health it is. And naturally, Morrow goes last. Well, if he didn't go last, he wouldn't go at all. That's weird. Yeah, he does still have mirror image, which is... I'm confused. Why doesn't Morrow have mirror image for hours? Whatever. Everyone's spell pen has been increased. I don't want to cast the who's it, what's it. Oh, this is, he'd have to be closer to everyone. Spells. Use Dispel Magic Greater. That seems unwise. Okay, so it's Ivu's turn. We know Dispel won't work any further. I'm not confident that she'll be able to halves physical damage from slashing and piercing weapons. So lands even more of a detriment. I'm not as worried about Seala's damage. I just want her to get the crit. So it'll be easier to hit this guy. That'll be good enough for a single turn. As always, the primary rule is the more targets that the bad guy has to hit, the less likely it's going to be one of the ones that are harder to replace. On a side note, I have discovered that allies that have been, let's say, killed, but are still being kept alive through the, what's the thing called, the Azada Mythic Path's abilities, I can revive them. In some cases at full health, if I have Ivu do it, which is probably the smarter move now that I think about it, especially in this case. But I can revive them if I use the Raise Dead spell. So that's interesting to note. How far off was he with his attack? Oh, that's why he hit. Yeah, so he does not have Blessed Weapon on. So I need to cast Blessed Weapon on her. Otherwise we get nothing out of this. Oh, cute. He's got that BS concealment as well. Oh, quicken and cast this again. Yeah, none of those were maximized, so if I cast it again, the fourth cast of the spell should be maximized. Poor freaking Rachel. He's having a hard time of it. I need to heal him. Which is unfortunate because I'd also like to be able to cast haste. And no one else can use it aside from Morrow, who's got better things to do with his time. That's weird. Okay. This Kari doesn't seem to be having too much fun, does he? Oh, right. Since she cast Mark of Justice, we should be able to get some hits in. Let's be honest, I really didn't expect much out of Land. Regil, however. I need her to crit. It'll make it easier for everyone else to do the good work. Well, at least that one wasn't maximized. That would have been embarrassing. Frick. Unfortunately, Regil isn't using... No, she just missed. It wasn't because of his spell resistance, so never mind that. That's gotta be embarrassing. Why is Morrow... Well, it doesn't really matter. We'll fix that. As we do. Yeah. Oh, there's one on top of him. Right. No big deal. Just to be safe. What do you mean there's nothing on him? Ember showed there was something on him. You're lying. But I need her AoE. Actually, since Lan will be right, won't be doing anything, we'll move him towards it. There we go. I knew you were a filthy liar. Yeah. Why not? And then... Ember's turn. Somehow it's just not enough. What's its spell? Even... No, he wouldn't be able to. Oh, that's unfortunate. It's fine, it's fine. There's nothing else I really want to cast, so... I really do need to remember that he has that greater reach meta magic rod. Aside from that, that's it for his turn. Well, no, we'll do this. Kind of embarrassing to see Deskari dead on the ground. Embarrassing for him, naturally. Let's make sure there's nothing else going on in here. And while I'm thinking about it, Sela... Anything else? Yeah. The Blessed Weapon effect should now last for 24 hours. So these three are completely covered for pretty much the rest of the entire playthrough. Which hopefully shouldn't last much longer. Now, I used Shielding Friend, but I don't see the effects of that. That's fine. Ooh, let's see what we picked up from the dead guy. No. The spoils have not been good as of late. Rift Carver. Rift Carver is a +5 adamantine oversized unholy bleed scythe. Once per minute as a standard action, its wielder can summon... It's once per minute. Once per minute, as a standard action, its wielder can summon a pack of vicious demons to aid them in battle. Once per day, the scythe can be swept through the air as a standard action to rip a hole between worlds and cast a Rift of Ruin spell. Except it spawns a pit under each enemy in a 60-foot radius. Could it be any more gross? Being oversized, the weapon is exceptionally large and deals more damage, but attacks with it suffer a penalty of -2 to attack rolls. That's fine. Still deals more damage. Mined from rocks that fell from the heavens. Ultra hard metal. Unholy. Interesting. Just gonna put that right there for a hot second while I take a look at the headband of Alluring Charisma 6. Lan has one that's +8, right? No, +6, but it also lets him use Perfect Strike more. and makes him look incredibly dorky, so it stays. Doesn't look like we have anything else of value, though. That's fine. I want to make sure all of the animals have give you one of those. You had stuff, and now you don't have stuff. And because I don't remember what that stuff was, I know it was a belt and I think bracers. I can't tell if they actually disappeared like I was expecting them to or not. I want them to have constitution and dexterity. This one. Then, booyah. It's almost as hard to kill as Mr. Ed. Do we have any interesting gloves for this guy? He's never going to be attacking, so having ones that deal damage makes no sense. This one? Okay. Guess this will do. Alright, so let's try out this scythe. Says once per minute. Interesting. Let's go ahead and quick save just in case I end up sucking everyone into a rift accidentally. It said I'm supposed to be able to good enough. I guess he's the Summon Lord after all. That probably won't be very good for a thumbnail, so let's move on. Right. I'm trying to figure out which is not the right way to go. This way? I can't tell. This one seems to dead end. Yeah, definitely a dead end. Oh, calm down. I guess Baphomet will be next. It's not like he doesn't deserve it, so.
This is where it happened. It was here that I conducted the ritual, sewing my soul and the essence of the abyss together, feeling the world change around me as every stitch brought Galarian closer to the abyss. And it was here that even though you have no memory of it, I did the same to your soul.
How nice of you.
A researcher must not have any personal feelings for the subjects of their experiments. And yet, I find myself unable to remain completely detached from the whirlwind. I created it. I allowed it to be. It holds a place in my heart, even if I'm slowly paying for it with my life. A researcher must be particularly resilient in the face of mistakes, incorrect hypotheses, and failed experiments. You are my failed experiment. I think I'll feel some regret for ending your current life, but you can rest assured that such sentiments will not stop me.
Well, that's very kind of you. But we passed the Arcana check. I can tell you've been preparing this place for battle. But there's something more to it, am I right? I sense barrier spells waiting to be activated, and there's something else. Something deadly.
You're so adept at magic. Of course, I've been preparing for our meeting. And hopefully I've prepared well.
10 whole XP. Better than nothing, I guess. And you've done all of this just to save your child.
Yes. And no. Even if I could have brought back my son, I wouldn't have stopped at that. I wouldn't have been satisfied. Not after what I'd gone through. Not after the things I'd learned. I wanted to become stronger. And I wished the same for my child. I didn't want to be afraid of anything. It wasn't the dogs of Threshold, or even Sarkoris itself, that threatened us. It was the laws of a world governed by death, weakness, and separation. That you have seen,
That was my mistake.
You have been face to face with demon lords. Were you awed by their greatness? Do you enjoy living in a world where your entire life cycle has been predetermined? Where everything, from your birth to what will happen to your soul after you die, has been decided for you? Or do you find, now that you have experienced the mythic power coursing through your blood, that you prefer to live in a world that you can change? A world that offers you a chance to be anything you want.
Listen. You've done some pretty awful stuff, but I can understand why you thought it was the right course of action.
How strange. You are a kindred spirit. We are so alike. Perhaps the experiment wasn't such a failure in the end. But no. No.
So why exactly did you call me your failed experiment?
When I poured what was left of my son's soul into your soul, I was expecting it to bring him back. They say death and the judgment of Pharasma purges the soul of everything it once was in life. But this cannot be true. I have researched this subject meticulously and have collected enough evidence to prove that supernatural beings born from mortal souls can recall their past. Sometimes partially, sometimes fully. I watched you day and night waiting for it to happen. For your memory to awaken, or your instincts at least. For anything familiar, something I could immediately recognize. I tested you. I asked you questions and... nothing. Nothing.
So you merged the remnants of your son's soul with mine. But why do you want to harm me?
If a hypothesis is proven wrong, it needs to be rejected. But the research process does not stop there. That is all I can tell you right now.
You've been carrying the wound in your soul for a long time. Does that mean you will die soon?
It will kill me eventually. But I still have some time left. Years, or decades perhaps. But it doesn't matter. One of us will die today.
And what will happen if one of us steps into the wound?
The tearing of the soul, followed by a cruel and terrible death. But it will likely be quick.
Okay.
And it's finally time to end all this.
Sure, let's try to stop her at the very end, I guess. The wound may be killing our souls, but maybe we can find a way to solve this without bloodshed.
Asking me to stop is like asking a river not to flow, or a volcano not to erupt.
Yeah, I pretty much expected that answer.
Death is not the end. I've spent 100 years trying to prove it, and I will not stop now. This experiment was unsuccessful, but that just means I need to adjust the initial conditions and try again. I am still alive. I still have time. You, the current you, will have to die, but only to surrender the soul you share with my son. I will start over. This time I will do everything differently. I will work with even greater precision. I will turn the world upside down if I must.
Yeah, see, that's where I'm going to have to stop you. The part where you're going to kill me. Can't have that. I like singing and making grass grow. That's pretty cool. You're not taking that from me.
I promise.
Okay, she's got an armor class of 70, but most of that's undoubtedly due to a ton of spells she's going to have on her. She's going to be impossible to hit until we remove all of them. Now, we have a bit of an issue where everyone's going to have to move towards her. Also, all of my summons have been cut off from this area, yet they're all on... They're on the turn order. That's fun. Good. That's what I was hoping would happen. did she do, though? Sunburst, huh? Boy, have I got bad news for you. And here... Sure, why not? How about we get land away from her? I actually need to spend this time what is it? I need to spend this time dispelling her. So, yeah, fine. I was going to delay the turn in order to have Morrow return everyone's ability uses so I get this again, but no. I don't think so. Mother fricking... This is level 4. Why are you like this?
Do not hold back.
She's got a flat 20 damage reduction. Fear, compulsion, poison, naturally, disease, stunned, death, crit. Well, that's crap. It does not make sense for anyone to be immune to crits. How does she have aspect of incubus? You know what? I don't even want to know. Forget I asked the question. No, you keep your Rule 34 to yourself, by the way. Sea Mantle does not give resistance to crits. That has to be one of these spells. This one. Immune to crits, thanks to Ice Body. This is Morrow, right? Of course. You know what? Since everyone that matters is within 30 feet, Let's not mess around. Protection of nature. Make sure that we... Interesting. That it makes sure that it ensures that everyone within range takes damage only 50% of the time, which, given the way the game has proven to work, is probably going to be more like 20. We'll cast it nevertheless. Can you hit her? Holy crap. Retro's pretty much guaranteed to hit her. Very interesting. Well, that's very risky business. Land needs freedom of movement, right? Let's make sure he doesn't already have it. Yeah, that's fine. Actually, let's use the Greater Reach Meta Magic Rod now that I'm thinking about it. That is almost sexually good. Almost, like just the tip. But at least he's safe from being insta-gibbed now. We got the first part on her. Right? She did have... Yeah. Good. There's nothing else we really need to do, so let's rock her block off. I need Sealer to crit so we can reduce her armor class from land. So you can't attack either. Ah, well. Oh, yes he can. Let's see. Inventory. We need usable items, type in descending order. Weird since the quivers aren't together. Not interested in the midnight bolts. Fire makes no sense. There's no way this would ever work. She's got reflexes of, what was it, 52? God dang it. Ivu's model is overlapping with the Relu, so I can't even freaking click her. There we go. We had her for a second. No, it's 54. I was close enough. I feel justified. Wait, I didn't change his equipment, so why does he suddenly not get his full attack turn? Well, I fixed that little red wagon.
You crossed the wrong mongrel.
Her health just refilled. What? 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 How does... There's nothing... Three times? Okay. I mean, it's a simple matter, really. But we do need to... I probably shouldn't be bothering. Hold on, what's her spell resistance? 40. It's lower than Deskari's was. So that means she'll be somewhat easier to hit. She no longer has haste, true seeing, sea mantle, death ward, or unholy aura. Unfortunately, we're out of uses of the quick casting spell, but... Wait, we have... I have heightened dispel. So I should probably put that to use for her next time. I think she's immune to mind effects, right? Compulsion, but not charm or mind effects. Wait, this is a level 6 spell. What else would it be taking from? Nothing too bad, really. Oh, yes, it would. Never mind. Her willpower is too high to be affected by this poorly coded Song of Broken Chains. So we do damage. this point, I'm somewhat convinced that Rachel could hit her more easily now with any other weapon. Okay. Still trying to strip as many spells off of her as I can. She no longer has Ice Body, Winds of Vengeance, which is really going to help out Lan. Heroism Greater, Displacement, and Resists Sonic. Wow. She's having a rough time of it. What, did you think my allies would die even if you were to kill them? Oh, you poor foolish things. And of course the lightning is glitched because, you know, why the frick not? Okay. So, interestingly enough, there are more people alive than dead. That's really weird. Darren was completely untouched by that. Mr. Ed is down, but he is definitely not out. So first things first, we heal. And because he's got nothing else to do, there we go. Mount up. I'm going to go ahead and assume she has at least one more of those in her pocket, so... let's see, we need one of those sexual reses right now from Ivu. Lan is suddenly fine. Yeah, if that's all she's got, she's lost. God dang it. Oh, by the way, when you resurrect someone out of this effect, they apparently remain immune to, frankly, anything, apparently outside of being damaged by AoE spells. I can't target them with anything, as you may have seen from the healing spell a moment ago. Yeah, we're hoping for that crit. That one. One that dealt 200. Oh, that is a BEA Ute. Also, Lan is taking big chunks of damage for some reason. crap, seal us down.
I never thought that I would be responsible for the creation of my most powerful enemy.
Suture, I can see you. Get out of here.
I've been waiting for you to get distracted so I can stab you in the back.
Yes, I get your frustration. I've realized your plan. The spells in this chamber, they're designed to kill you if something goes wrong. You've been preparing for this outcome from the start, am I right?
How very perceptive. But you didn't think I would make it easy, did you? I won't let you win. You need me alive. You want to use me to close the wound, but I can destroy myself before you have a chance.
I don't see either of these doing what they tried to accomplish. But we can definitely make these diplomacy checks. Good God, can we easily make these, what is the skill they rely on? I don't remember. Regardless, we can easily make these. The only question is, which one do we go with? I don't like the diplomacy option, and I really don't like the intimidate option either. Well, I like it better than I like it better than the diplomacy option, but that's not saying all that much. What's all this stuff over here on the... I'm getting distracted. Screw it. I'll stop you by force if necessary. So don't embarrass... I just don't like it. I just don't like it. I just don't. So we'll go with diplomacy. Won't accomplish anything. Is this really how you wish to go?
You're right. I won't gain anything from this. So what now?
5 minutes later.
You are stronger than I could have anticipated.
Weird.
As your creator, I should be proud to be defeated by the one I have imbued with power. Is there any higher praise? But I'm tired. You won't hear me pleading. Let us finish this experiment here and
now. Do you have any last words?
Here are my last words. I regret nothing.
Ember, can we get a perception check on whether that's true or not? The song of Elysium wakes within your soul. Its cadence is piercing and solemn. You see the world wound before you, that terrible abscess on the face of a world that has been tormented by it for too long. It is within your power to put an end to it, but there's more. Your island, your small miracle filled with life-giving force, is the key to restoring the corrupted lands. Will you give it away to see green gardens in place of poisoned wastes? This choice is yours to make. just let me stretch and enjoy this moment for as long as possible. It's time to end the life of one and give way to the lives of many. I really don't like that line. And in doing so, we destroy WeArEuS and sacrifice our floating island. My beautiful, beautiful floating island. To close and heal the world wound. Somewhere beyond the walls of this cursed prison, you feel a gust of wind, a fresh spring breeze. A wave of power follows within its wake. It nourishes and revitalizes everything in its path, like the rain that revives the roots of a forest after a severe drought. The arrival of this wave dissolves the silhouette of WeArEuS, the witch and the creator of the world wound. And just as swiftly, the tongues of violet flame, the outline of the giant rift, and the edges of the wound in your chest all fade away. The time for healing has come. Nice. I guess I'm not going to be able to read this out. Or, I guess this isn't going to be read out for me, is what I meant. Life and death, destiny and great deeds. Answers to mysteries, the search for one's true path. The mind can comprehend all of these, and then such concepts can be written down as a sequence of formulas, a series of lies, a chain of thought. Still, a moment always comes when it is time to wrap up, to reach a conclusion, to put a period at the end of the last sentence. The impossible rift, the bleeding wound that had tormented all of Galarian for 100 years, was finally healed. The life and soul of the one who inflicted this wound upon the world became the salve, my mistake. With the death of the witch WeArEuS, the world wound she had created vanished as well. After the victory, the commander took Elysium up on its invitation and paid a short visit to that wondrous plane. Few are privy to all the details of that journey, but the tales speak of all manner of marvels, such as the incredible dances of the Azadas, flights across the skies with a flock of havoc dragons, and feasts in the company of even more fascinating beings, and tons and tons and tons of orgies. After the Battle of Threshold, the commander did not stay long in the lands where the Fifth Crusade had been waged. A new destiny and a new journey awaited him. The wind of Elysium became a harbinger of renewal for the lands of the former wound. The corruption-torn wastes became lush once more, and where lava lakes once steamed, there were groves of towering trees. Some of the vegetation seemed to have come straight from a dream. This rejuvenated land became a beautiful garden and inspiration for dreamers. Lovers and poets would go there to watch the moon rise through the sparkling waterfalls, or to catch the reflections of the stars in the streams. The Free Crusaders did not stay together for long. Their main goal had been achieved, but there were still plenty of places left in the world where injustice was rampant, where courage and imagination were needed. Scaranthal and his treants had their branches full. They had to take care of the new rapidly growing forests. Scaranthal, during his time as a free crusader, came to understand and even love city customs. in his own way. He often dropped by Dresden and even officially adopted all the teenagers from the commander's court. And he cared for them just as selflessly as if they were his own trees. The fate of the Mimic Crusaders was most astonishing of all. They formed their own knightly order and then changed their mind and decided to become pirates, then settled on being pirate knight acrobats. They sailed the seas on a massive ship, quite possibly another mimic, singing shanties, juggling cutlasses, saving beautiful damsels. Oh, I'm jealous. And on rare occasions, boarding someone they didn't like. Iva would visit her large family in Elysium, but nothing could make her part with her best friend for long. "I go where you go," was her motto. Much later, all grown up, Iva went off on her own adventures. She traveled the plains, bravely helping good souls in distress, and, of course, seeking out places where they bake the best cookies. Although the commander became the symbol of the Fifth Crusade, there were still those among the Crusaders who were dissatisfied with his decisions. Years later, their words served as the basis for many alternate versions of the history of the struggle against the world wounds. And just so we're clear, this is the outcome because I did not max military and logistics, I believe. I know it was the of the four traits, I guess you could call them. The bottom one and the second one were not maxed. But that's because they're extremely time consuming. And I'm not dealing with that mess. So this whole business can eat a straight up dick. With the conclusion of the war, Dresden, the heroic fortress of the Crusaders, began to wane in importance. The memories of the gruesome battles faded. The deeds of the brave were forgotten. A mere century later, Dresden had once again become just another northern garrison, and the legacy of the Fifth Crusade began to slip into obscurity. That whole outcome can eat a fresh bag of dicks as well. Queen Galfrey. I was going to try and slip in an insult, and I couldn't come up with anything good. Returned to Norosian with the intent to rule Mendev as before, but as it turned out, Mendevian society was hungry for change. The war-ravaged nation desired new leadership, but the queen would not countenance yielding her authority to anyone else. She believed her duty to her homeland had not yet been fulfilled. Quite a few Mendevians wanted to see Darren Arendai inherit the throne. Upon his return to Canabres, Chundaway did everything in his power to prevent a repeat of Holrun's atrocities. He banned torture and disbanded the Inquisition, transferring all matters of internal security over to the Eagle Watch. Yeah, he needed to die. There was no way he could be allowed to live. Not with the stuff he had done. He was either insane or righteously insane, and neither of those was acceptable. The wardstones from the chain that had once guarded the borders of Mendev were carefully disassembled, one by one. The angels that had been trapped inside returned to heaven to heal their wounded spirits and prepare for new battles against evil. Hey, I followed through. When I make a promise, I try to keep that promise. The victory over the World Wound changed many things, not just on Galarian, but in the Midnight Isles as well. Nocticula spent many days pondering the words of a certain young and fearless prophet. Before long, the Lady in Shadow openly renounced her realm and named herself the Redeemer Queen. This revolt against her own demonic nature transformed Nocticula, severing her ties to the Abyss and brought her to Elysium. There, upon creating a realm named Midnight's Palette, the Redeemer Queen attained divine power and became the patroness of exiles. The now vacant throne was instantly seized by Shamira, the Ardent Dream. However, her power could not compare to the might of the Lady in Shadow. The Midnight Isles, which had become a tempting prize for many demons, were plunged into chaos. And no one cared. The Demon Lord Baphomet suffered a defeat. The world wound was closed and the convenient passage to Galarian was sealed along with it. Baphomet shifted his attention to the realms of the other demon lords. A cell of the Templars of the Ivory Labyrinth was soon discovered in the Lucian era. Okay. The Demon Lord Deskari suffered a decking. He bided his time, continuing to plot his invasion of Galarian and, after that, of heaven itself. The cultists that remained on Galarian went mad, one after another, tortured by the nightmarish dreams their lord sent to them. All's well that ends well. The Tirabades were adamant about retiring from military service, leaving it all behind and escaping together. But urgent Eagle Watch business forced them to stay for a week, then for a month, then for many years. Even as Anevia cursed their lot, however, her eyes would shine with pride, for she was always the first to admit that Erebeth was not the kind of person who could just up and retire. Several hundred years after the conclusion of the Fifth Crusade, somewhere on another plane, far from both the Abyss and Galarian, two runaway Lilitus met. Benago and Shavaro. They met, never to part again. The hand of the inheritor who had gone into voluntary exile spent much time among mortals, trying to gain a better understanding of their fickle nature. Somewhere on the roads of Galarian, the angel's trail went cold. Rumor has it that he intentionally went into hiding to avoid both old friends and surviving enemies, and that he now lives somewhere in the guise of a callow mortal youth, eager to absorb other people's wisdom. The Dretch, known as the Suture, never made peace with the loss of his mistress. He retreated to her old laboratory, where he wandered the empty halls, activating the magical projectors again and again. For in their pale light there still lived an image of the one who had become so important to the solitary demon. The storyteller, as old as the tales he collected, continued his travels across Galarian and occasionally beyond. He knew that out there somewhere, there was one story he would never find. His own. Oh well. Finian, a Pathfinder who also happened to be a talking weapon, continued his travels in the hands of many warriors, seasoned and otherwise. Throughout the following centuries, he was lost in battle on a number of occasions, only to be found again in some fantastical treasure room on the other side of Galarian. Once again, Sela heard the call of the open road. Good, because she had dropped dead just as the fight ended because Ivu didn't get the chance to resurrect her. Even a valiant paladin can become prone to self-doubt, and after everything that had happened to her, Sela wanted to sort out her conflicting thoughts and emotions on her own. Having properly fulfilled his duty to the mongrels and, to his surprise, avoiding death, Lanet was suddenly faced with a choice. What to do with his life now that it wasn't going to end anytime soon? His hesitation didn't last long, and just a few months later he went on a sea voyage to see the world he had saved. Fairy tales and drinking songs oftentimes mentioned Lan and the commander going on sea adventures together. But whether that was fact or fiction, no one can say. Ember joined the Redeemed Brotherhood. She never recognized herself as their leader or gave any orders, but her very presence inspired the former miscreants to perform great deeds. Over time, the Brotherhood grew into a major religious movement. Its preachers took a vow of poverty and walked the roads of Galarian, helping the needy, convincing villains to change their ways, and entreating both good and evil deities alike to be more merciful to mortal kind. Soon after the war, the tireless researcher of all things researchable embarked on a new journey. She had a sudden urge to know how much time it would take to visit every nation on Galarian. She never returned. No, she didn't perish. She simply got carried away on another experiment and forgot to come back. Couldn't be bothered to help her with her whole story, whatever. Darren Arendai embraced his new life, one that was free of the other. He became more mature, his smile grew colder, and his choice of diversions more elaborate. He acquired an imperious streak. Inquisitor Leoder's blood seemed to have let darkness into Darren's soul, or had it always dwelt there? Whatever the case, in that darkness he was free and happy as never before. They say that some of Darren's disappearance... They say that some of Darren's disappearances stemmed not from another affair, but from his adventures with the Commander. To his own surprise, WotR, who was quite easily and not exactly brutally ruined by the Baylor in that fight that we're just not going to reference for the remaining companions. To his own surprise, WotR Jeffdo became a war hero. His steam and fame were shortly followed by great wealth. The Thiefling did not let his newfound fortune turn his head, but chose to invest the money in several profitable ventures, and one charity for street urchins. Within a few years, his signature style came to include a top hat, a cane, and a bit of a belly. There was a lot of talk in the taverns of Absalom about the time soon after the end of the war when WotR appeared in the city in the company of Count Arendai. It remains unclear whether Darren treated the Thiefling as a wayward younger brother or a court jester, but he took pleasure in showing him the world. The third person in the group was rumored to be the Commander himself. After the victory, Sociel returned home. Now a famed Crusader hero, he humbly officiated a temple of Shelyn, painted, grew sweet-smelling fruits, and made the best wine in the region. His former kindly smile returned less and less often. He avoided talking about the war, and when people asked about his brother's fate, he just curtly replied that Trevor had been killed by demons. During the war, Sociel met an engineer by the name of Aaron Kier. That meeting turned into friendship, which turned into love, and then it was time for the wedding. Later, the cleric would say that only the memory of his beloved had allowed him to cope with the terrors of the abyss and keep his sanity. Whatever. Reginald Derenge wrote a treatise on waging war against the demons, both a practical manual and... Wow. Manual? Really? Both a practical manual and a philosophical exhortation. And once that was done, he succumbed to the bleaching completely. He was posthumously reinstated in his order and buried with honors in the officers' cemetery. His treatise was used in all future wars against the abyss by mortals, angels, and devils alike. Before he died, he managed to send a letter to the commander. Did it contain sincere farewells or a list of directives? Impossible to say. No one was privy to the contents, except the recipient. After the war, Greyboar went off on his personal conquest. He traveled to Elushanir and killed 4 candidates for the position of the head of the Assassin's Guild, whereupon he rightfully took the position himself and became a preeminent figure in the Midnight Isles. Under his leadership, the guild prospered, and the denizens of many planes would shudder whenever they heard the innocent phrase, "Sweet dreams." Urushalei had changed her nature, completely ridding herself of evil, but she would not dare to live among mortals. She took up residence in a small house away from their settlements. Shortly after, rumors began to spread. Some said there was a kind sorceress living in the cottage, or perhaps a reclusive saint, and people would come to her asking for help. She never refused anyone, and in time she earned their trust and friendship. When the former demon was not busy helping mortals, she spent time with the commander, who often visited her at her house. They had nothing to hide or be ashamed of, and yet in her shyness, Urushalei tried to conceal their relationship from prying eyes.
And what of me, the writer of these words? The half-demon witch known as the architect of the world wound. I was defeated and fell at the hand of the one I had tried to transform. My experiment ended in failure, and my life ended along with it. I have recounted the story of my life for you, Pharasma, Lady of Graves. Not only of my life, but of the commander's also. I believe the tale of such an illustrious figure would pique even a goddess's curiosity. Now you know everything. I await your verdict, goddess.
Silence hangs over the boneyard. The Lady of Graves is weighing her decision, and it seems the entire universe is holding its breath, awaiting her pronouncement. Who would dare to break a silence so absolute? Me! The only question is what we will do in order to intervene. I'll try to figure out which one we'll go with, and then we'll read out the entire thing. Okay, for this second option, can we just take a moment? Iomade did not a goddamn thing. She quite literally stood by and watched it for for 100 years, while demons basically bent Galarian over. So this makes no sense. We're going to go with the diplomacy option because, well, the first diplomacy option because, I mean, why not, right? I'm trying to find a good angle for a thumbnail, but it's just not working out in my favor. Though you are no longer here, your mythic powers entitle you to a say in this trial. I appeal to your mercy. The planes have suffered enough. Do not add to the evil already wrought with yet another act of evil. Your words ring out in the silence. They are heard, considered, and given their due weight.
The laws of the universe have existed for millennia. They are incontrovertible, but even they allow the decider of fate some degree of influence over the verdict. You wrought great evil, while it stemmed from the evil that was done to you. Your actions far exceeded it. Your soul is dark, and there is only one place for you in the universe. And yet, The one whom you harmed most of all now appeals to me on your behalf. I shall send you to the Maelstrom, the plane on the edge of the world. A place to which the gods' gazes do not stray. There you will find yourself. Or you will perish in the whirlwind of chaos that is your soul. So be it. Now you, the mortal who has risen so high as to stand boldly in the presence of the goddess of fate.
Hi.
You have done the impossible, and you will be remembered as long as this universe exists. Go, live out the rest of your life. I look forward to tales of your future deeds.
Can we all just stop for a moment? They did this poor character model wrong. Look at how incredible this looks, and then the model is just... it shouldn't have been like this. And so, the curtains fall on our playthrough of Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous. I hope you guys have enjoyed everything you've seen thus far. It was extremely flawed, buggy without question, and yet, when the game wasn't screwing you in either randomness or bugginess or just general balance, or having you do the crusade crap because screw that noise, it was genuinely fun. Granted, I find fun in combat, so there was that whole thing. That was my icing on the cake. Just so we're clear, I just saw it before I started the game. We are at it was around 423 point something hours. That's how much time we've put into this game. That includes time that I spent doing all of the crusade stuff, doing all of the characters, doing character side quests like WeArEuS stuff, all of that off camera, farming items through the crusade system and things like that. All in all, I would recommend the game to other people who have a penchant or interest in turn-based games or Dungeons and Dragons type gameplay. But I would make sure to mention just how severely imbalanced the game can feel sometimes. And how do I put it? Granted, the entire playthrough was on core difficulty. I know there are some people who, for some reason, played on the highest difficulty. I can't even imagine how AIDS the game must be at that level of difficulty. I just cannot. I know that there's a broken build involving Sword Lord, I think, that allows you to attack an enemy based on their touch armor class rather than their general armor class. And that sounds fun because armor class is a special level of BS in this game, but that's a whole other thing. Again, yes, I would definitely recommend this game to people alongside an insistent warning that they really consider whether or not they want to invest time in something that is so deeply rooted in random. Every single thing you do is a roll of the dice, and it feels like the die hate you and want to see you suffer. So you will feel constantly screwed anytime you try to do anything. Granted, that's just it, based on my experience with the core difficulty. But I think it's a worthwhile thing to note for anyone that's interested in playing this game. I'm of a mind to go back and fight WeArEuS again, just to make some different decisions and see how that plays out. Because I know that you're able to ascend to what is basically godhood. Whereas in this, I instead stayed basically immortal, I suppose. Interestingly enough. So I'd like to see what options I would need to choose in order to make that happen, but I could also just look it up online and live vicariously through other people's decisions so that I don't have to launch this game ever again. Right, about what's coming next. So, WeArEuS came out today, and good lord, was I lucky on that front, because I did not expect to finish the game today. And today for you guys is Friday, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's right. Anyway, this video has dragged on for about an hour and 26 minutes, so I'm going to let you guys go. I don't remember how the intro normally goes, or the outro normally goes. Oh, there it is. So, WeArEuS will be coming. I don't know if I'm actually going to be able to buy it in time. Don't expect anything on Saturday and Sunday. Not this time around. But once we get started recording WeArEuS, we're probably going to have that in that slot, in the Saturday and Sunday slot. Unless something else comes along that looks more playable, or that looks like it'll last longer. Now, Elden Ring is still on the table. It's just like so many people have already watched playthroughs of it, so why would I bother doing that when it's just going to be a video thrown out into the void and generally ignored, right? But I guess that's just the nature of things. Anyway, I do need to get the mod that I was talking about last episode that balances performance and the level of detail, and test that out with recording. So we may be seeing Elden Ring, because from what I remember, from what I remember seeing on Green Man Gaming and Steam's upcoming releases, there's nothing good coming anytime soon. So, pray for me. And so, with all that said, no matter how, no matter when, no matter what it is we'll be playing, we will see you next time.